Om Akhandamandalakaram Vyaptam Yena Characharam Tatpadam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Hari Om Om Tava Kathamritam Tapta Jivanam Kavibiriditam Kalmashapaham Shravanamangalam Srimadatam Bhuvi Grinanti Te Bhurida Janaha. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramakrishna. The Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, page 89. Narendra was singing, "Meditate, O my mind, on the Lord Hari, the stainless one, pure spirit through and through. How peerless is the light that in him shines. How soul bewitching is his wondrous form. How dear is he to all his devotees. Evermore beauteous in fresh blossoming love that shames the splendor of a million moons. Like lightning gleams the glory of his form, raising erect the hair for very joy." The master shuddered when this last line was sung. His hair stood on end, and tears of joy streamed down his cheeks. Now and then his lips parted in a smile. Was he seeing the peerless beauty of God that shames the splendor of a million moons? Was this the vision of God, the essence of spirit? How much austerity and discipline, how much faith and devotion must be necessary for such a vision? The song went on. "Worship his feet in the lotus of your heart, with mind serene and eyes made radiant with heavenly love. Behold that matchless sight." Again that bewitching smile. The body motionless as before, the eyes half shut, as if beholding a strange inner vision. The song drew to a close. Narendra sang the last lines. "Caught in the spell of his love's ecstasy, immerse yourself for evermore, O mind, in him who is pure knowledge and pure bliss." The sight of the Samadhi and the divine bliss he had witnessed left an indelible impression on M's mind. He returned home deeply moved. Now and then he could hear within himself the echo of those soul-intoxicating lines. "Immerse yourself for evermore, O mind, in him who is pure knowledge and pure bliss." The next day too was a holiday for him. He arrived at Dakshineswar at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Sri Ramakrishna was in his room. Narendra, Bhavanath and a few other devotees were sitting on a mat spread on the floor. They were all young men of 19 or 20. Seated on the small couch, Sri Ramakrishna was talking with them and smiling. No sooner had Yam entered the room than the master laughed aloud and said to the boys, "There, he has come again." They all joined in the laughter. Yam bowed low before him and took a seat. Before this, he had saluted the master with folded hands, like one with an English education. But that day, he learned to fall down at his feet in orthodox Hindu fashion. Presently, the master explained the cause of his laughter to the devotees. He said, "A man once fed a peacock with a pill of opium at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. The next day, exactly at that time, the peacock came back. It had felt the intoxication of the drug and returned just in time to have another dose." All laugh. Yam thought this is very apt illustration. Even at home, he had been unable to banish the thought of Sri Ramakrishna for a moment. His mind was constantly at Dakshineswar, and he had counted the minutes until he should go again. In the meantime, the master was having great fun with the boys, treating them as if they were his most intimate friends. Peals of side-splitting laughter filled the room as if it were a mart of joy. The whole thing was a revelation to Yam. He thought, didn't I see him only yesterday intoxicated with God? Wasn't he swimming then in the ocean of divine love? A sight I had never seen before. And today, the same person is behaving like an ordinary man. Wasn't he who scolded me on the first day of my coming here? Didn't he admonish me, saying, "And you are a man of knowledge"? Wasn't he who said to me that God with form is as true as God without form? Didn't he tell me that God alone is real and all else illusory? Wasn't it he who advised me to live in the world unattached, like a maidservant in a rich man's house? Sri Ramakrishna was having great fun with the young devotees. Now and then he glanced at Yam. He noticed that Yam sat in silence. The master said to Ramlal, "You see, he is a little advanced in years and therefore somewhat serious. He sits quiet while the youngsters are making merry." Yam was then about 28 years old. The conversation drifted to Hanuman, whose picture hung on the wall in the master's room. Sri Ramakrishna said, "Just imagine Hanuman's state of mind. He didn't care for money, honor, creature comforts, or anything else. He longed only for God. When he was running away with the heavenly weapon that had been secreted in the crystal pillar, Mandodari began to tempt him with various fruits so that he might come down and drop the weapon." There is a note. The story referred to here is told in the Ramayana. Ravana had received a boon as a result of which he could be killed only by a particular celestial weapon. This weapon was concealed in a crystal pillar in his palace. One day, Hanuman, in the guise of an ordinary monkey, came to the palace and broke the pillar. As he was running away with the weapon, he was tempted with fruit by Mandodari, Ravana's wife, so that he might give back the weapon. He soon assumed his own form and sang the song given in the text. But he couldn't be tricked so easily. In reply to her persuasions, he sang this song. "Am I in need of fruit? I have the fruit that makes this life fruitful indeed. Within my heart, the tree of Rama grows, bearing salvation for its fruit. Under the wish-fulfilling tree of Rama do I sit at ease, plucking whatever fruit I will. But if you speak of fruit, no beggar I for common fruit. Behold, I go, leaving a bitter fruit for you." As Sri Ramakrishna was singing the song, he went into Samadhi. Again the half-closed eyes and motionless body that one sees in his photograph. Just a minute before, the devotees had been making merry in his company. Now all eyes were riveted on him. Thus for the second time, Yam saw the master in Samadhi. After a long time, the master came back to ordinary consciousness. His face lighted up with a smile and his body relaxed. His senses began to function in a normal way. He shed tears of joy as he repeated the holy name of Rama. Yam wondered whether this very saint was the person who a few minutes earlier had been behaving like a child of 5. The master said to Narendra and Yam, "I should like to hear you speak and argue in English." They both laughed, but they continued to talk in their mother tongue. It was impossible for Yam to argue any more before the master. Though Sri Ramakrishna insisted they did not talk in English. At 5 o'clock in the afternoon, all the devotees except Narendra and M took leave of the master. As M was walking in the temple garden, he suddenly came upon the master talking to Narendra on the bank of the goose pond. Sri Ramakrishna said to Narendra, "Look here, come a little more often. You are a newcomer. On first acquaintance, people visit each other quite often, as is the case with a lover and his sweetheart." Narendra and M laugh. "So please come, won't you?" Narendra, a member of the Brahma Samaj, was very particular about his promises. He said with a smile, "Yes, sir, I shall try." As they were returning to the master's room, Sri Ramakrishna said to M, "When peasants go to market to buy bullocks for their plows, they can easily tell the good from the bad by touching their tails. On being touched there, some meekly lie down on the ground. The peasants recognize that these are without metal and so reject them. They select only those bullocks that frisk about and show spirit when their tails are touched. Narendra is like a bullock of this latter class. He is full of spirit within." The master smiled as he said this and continued, "There are some people who have no grit whatever. They are like flattened rice, soaked in milk, soft and mushy, no inner strength." It was dusk. The master was meditating on God. He said to M, "Go and talk to Narendra, then tell me what you think of him." Evening worship was over in the temples. M met Narendra on the bank of the Ganges and they began to converse. Narendra told M about his studying in college, his being a member of the Brahma Samaj, and so on. It was now late in the evening and time for M's departure. But he felt reluctant to go and instead went in search of Sri Ramakrishna. He had been fascinated by the master's singing and wanted to hear more. At last, he found the master pacing alone in the Nat Mandir in front of the Kali temple. A lamp was burning in the temple on either side of the image of the Divine Mother. The single lamp in the spacious Nat Mandir blended light and darkness into a kind of mystic twilight in which the figure of the master could be dimly seen. M had been enchanted by the master's sweet music. With some hesitation, he asked him whether there would be any more singing that evening. "No, not tonight," said Sri Ramakrishna after a little reflection. Then, as if remembering something, he added, "But I am going soon to Balram Bose's house in Calcutta. Come there and you will hear me sing." M agreed to go. Master: "Do you know Balaram Bose?" M: "No, sir, I don't." Master: "He lives in Bosepada." M: "Well, sir, I shall find him." As Sri Ramakrishna walked up and down the hall with M, he said to him, "Let me ask you something. What do you think of me?" M remained silent. Again Sri Ramakrishna asked, "What do you think of me? How many annas of knowledge of God have I?" M: "I don't understand what you mean by annas. But of this I am sure. I have never before seen such knowledge, ecstatic love, faith in God, renunciation, and Catholicity anywhere." The master laughed. M bowed low before him and took his leave. He had gone as far as the main gate of the temple garden when he suddenly remembered something and came back to Sri Ramakrishna, who was still in the Nat Mandir. In the dim light, the master all alone was pacing the hall, rejoicing in the self, as the lion lives and roams alone in the forest. In silent wonder, M surveyed that great soul. Master to M: "What makes you come back?" M: "Perhaps the house you asked me to go to belongs to a rich man. They may not let me in. I think I had better not go. I would rather meet you here." Master: Oh no, why should you think that? Just mention my name, say that you want to see me, then someone will take you to me. M nodded his assent, and after saluting the master, took his leave. So welcome to this 5th week of our readings and reflections on the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. This is one of the chapters, the Master and Disciple chapter has come to a close. The next week we will be moving to the 2nd chapter. In this portion, it's very interesting. There are 2-3 instances narrated by M. Takes us to a different world of meditation. See, when we meditate on Sri Ramakrishna, we are taught that start meditation with his form first. So there is a form. When you say Sri Ramakrishna, you see there is a form that we all worship. And this picture that we have in our Dublin Center, you can see that this picture was certified by Holy Mother herself. And she worshipped this only in Udbodhan when she had Master's picture for worship. And showing this picture, Sri Ramakrishna told her in Nahabat one day, this picture is going to be worshipped in house by house. He himself said this. So, everywhere, of course, another 2 pictures are also there. Sri Ramakrishna standing and within ecstasy, that also is there. And another picture was taken in a studio where he has put on the coat, etc. and is standing there, putting his arm on his rest. So that also is there. So 3 pictures we have. Of these 3 pictures, this picture has become very famous. And almost in every household in Bengal you find it is there. And in India, everywhere this photo is being worshipped. So, in the meditation, we start with his feet and slowly raise our eyes towards his face, and then we bow down to him. But there is another meditation after this that is being also taught to us, that thinking of the qualities of Sri Ramakrishna. What are the qualities? Gunas. So the qualities are there. Come in. So those qualities are also thought of by the devotees when they start thinking about Sri Ramakrishna. So in their meditation, they do the quality. Their third kind of meditation is there on Sri Ramakrishna is the Leela Dhyana, as it called, a Charitra Dhyana. That means Leela Dhyana means the Ramakrishna's activities or incidents that happened in his life. Those things you close your eyes and you start thinking about that. So this chapter's end actually gives us 2-3 instances of such items which when you are alone, when you are thinking and when you are finished our japa, and or when our mind is distracted by other thoughts. So how to wean away the mind from other places and to put our mind on Sri Ramakrishna, for that this Leela Dhyana helps very much. It is not exactly a meditation per se, but then it is a meditation which will lead to a deeper meditation later. So the Leela Dhyana helps us. So I close my eyes and I think of Dakshineswar, and some of the situations that Yam has described, it seems to us now that he has helped us in having this Leela Dhyana about Sri Ramakrishna. That's how he explains so beautifully. We will see that again. So last week we saw that Narendra was singing a beautiful song on the Lord Hari. And the song says, what is the glorious form of Lord Hari? We all know how Lord Hari is. Shantakaram Bhujagasayanam Padmanabham Suresham. Like that we all say that. So his form is like that. A peace has taken a form. Shantakaram Bhujagasayanam. he is just slanting on a snake. So all those things we know that. But along with those things, when we see that, he's telling, there is another song, beautiful song. These Bengali songs are, it makes fun as well as the beauty of the words are there. Though Swami Nikhilananji has very well translated into English these songs, it has not lost its worth. But then when you hear the same song in Bengali and understand the Bengali language, you are actually transported to the same time of Sri Ramakrishna, and as if you are hearing now Naren singing the song. So it's a very beautiful song. What is the form of a Lord? If God has got a form, and many people think God has got no form. There are people who worship God without form. That's Yam also is like that. Yam never believed in God with form. It was first time in his life he learned from Sri Ramakrishna that God can be worshipped with form or without form. So this he never heard anywhere. He always was hearing from the Brahma Samaj doctrines that God is without form. God has got no form. Because a form is a limiting adjunct of infinity. How can the infinity have a form? It is just contradictory in terms, you see. When you call it God as an infinite, and how can an infinite you put it in a small form and say God is here? So this limiting of God's powers is not acceptable to some. So they say God has got no form. So there are some other religions also which speak of God no form. And they accept God with certain qualities. Like for instance, God is all merciful. God saves. He is the Savior. So we bring out all those qualities of God, but it has got no form. So what is the form of God? But Hinduism believed God with form and God without form. So Vedanta accepts. It doesn't exclude any type of idea. So the ideas of Vedantins, that is the Bhakti school of Vedanta, they have found out and they have kept these words on the strength of their own realization. So a lot of devotional aspects were inquired into, and people practiced those devotional ways, and they came face to face with God. So when you see God in a particular form, how beautiful it is. So you can explain that because you have seen that. So their poems are there, the poets are there, rishis, they have written down. So the God's forms are like that. In Gita, Sri Krishna says, my form can be seen only by those to whom I give those mystical eyes. So if by His grace you get that type of eyes by which you can see the form. And the form cannot be seen with these physical eyes because it has got more than 1,000 suns. That splendor is there. Here the poet explains, because it is very cool, Hari is cool. So Hari's form is very cool. So Krishna, So the Hari's cool it is something like a millions of moons splendor. That is what he explains. Not the sun, his space moons. And it's a soul bewitching in his wondrous form. What is that form? He cannot explain. The devotee is completely, the mind is taken away from him to explain. To explain, you request words. Is it not? So Jyotira, we say that goes beyond the words. So when it goes beyond the words, you cannot explain that. So only Jyoti you see that. And that Jyoti is, to this poet, is that shames the splendor of a million moons. That means a million moons come together. And what would be the splendor? And that splendor is shamed by God's shining. So this is the lightning gleams the glory of His form. He never explains what is His forms, how is His nose, how is His face, how is His feet, etc. The glory of the form is such, He cannot explain because it is Jyoti. That Jyoti is wonderful. And caught in the spell of His love's ecstasy, then the poet is telling to his own mind, O mind, immerse yourself for evermore in Him who is pure knowledge and pure bliss. See how from bhakti it has gone to jnana. He is Sachidananda, is none else than Sachidananda. So put your mind on Sachidananda, who is so beautiful. And these two words, the two lines, have been haunting him all through the night. The next day he gets up and he finds, hey, today also is a holiday. And he is again drawn to Sri Ramakrishna and he goes to Dakshineswar. It is something wonderful. We find this type of activities in many, many devotees. When I first went to a place, Ramakrishna Mutt in Chennai, I met one Swami there. And the Swami called me, made me sit next to him, and then he talked to me. And then I came away to my college. The next day college, 1 hour early college left. So it was very near to our mutt. So I thought, 1 hour, next 1 hour after only I am supposed to go to home. So 1 hour what I will do? Immediately I thought, oh, that Swami called me. Let me go to him and sit with him. So I just started going with him. So that's how we all come to Ramakrishna Mission so closely. Because once you get the taste of the spiritual talks, then you will see you cannot absent yourself. You have to come again. And that is what happened to Yam. Yam's attraction, Master's attraction to Yam was great. That he himself writes, he says that he has been constantly thinking of him. See, can we think of like that? You just imagine, and Yam puts it in words, what was his mental thoughts at the time. Yam says, even at home, he had been unable to banish the thought of Sri Ramakrishna. If he wants to bring any other thought other than Ramakrishna, he was not able to do so. Unable to banish. And he says, even for a moment, his mind was constantly at Dakshineswar. And not only that, nowadays modern, we say, it is now that booking is open. So it still is counting on. Like that we use the word. And the same word Yam has used long back. He says he had counted the minutes until he should go away. It's a beautiful expression in Bengali also, isn't it? Amra time dekhchi, kokon amra firbo jabo. So the same thing. He has been waiting when the day will come. So the day came, next day was holiday. So immediately he went there. And when Yam entered the room, Master was sitting in the small couch and the youngsters were sitting there. These youngsters were Naren and Rakhal and all those boys were sitting. They were all 19, 20 years only. And Yam also is not a very old man, mind you. He was only 28 years old. Though he was a headmaster of a school. So 28 and 19 is not much difference. But still, because of his position as a headmaster, and he had developed his own gravity, and he thinks that he is a very elderly person, But for us, he is not elderly at that age. But then he felt elderly. But these boys, chokras, as we call, the boys were very young boys. So they can make fun with Master, which Yam could never think of. He has never thought of the man, because he has never seen Ramakrishna in another fashion. Only twice he met Yam. Both the times he was in Samadhi. And both the times he was seriously speaking about God. So where did he meet? He did not meet Master earlier. But these boys are coming a little earlier than Yam to Ramakrishna. And Ramakrishna used to make a lot of fun. Sri Ramakrishna's laughter, that is, those things have been, there's a separate book has come. How from the gospel they have taken out the incidents, and from the lives of his disciples, whenever they used to say about Master, their Master, and they used to explain. And those incidents have been culled and compiled in a book form, where you can see that every page after page, when you read that is Bengali book, and that you can go on laughing and laughing and laughing. So Master was so merrymaking. And from that only, Swami Vivekananda understood spirituality does not mean a a dyspeptic face, you should keep it. Say, if you have a dyspepsia, then you keep a particular type of face. That face should not be kept. Spirituality means you should be at laughing also. So that merrymaking, these boys were doing. So when Yam entered the room quietly and sat there, Master looked at him. And now he saw the difference. These boys were making merry, but Yam is a serious man. He would not make merry. So immediately he gave one nice example. That is the beauty of this gospel. Every fact of life, when it is spoken of, Sri Ramakrishna brings an example. And the example is all known to us. We have seen, many of us have seen ourselves. So that type of example which is known to us comes to us. And when Ramakrishna always explains everything, all the even highest thoughts of Vedanta, he brings out so beautiful examples. So when Yam entered, so he could easily give one example. What example he gave, you see? He says, there he comes again. He says, these boys do not know who is he, who is coming. But Master is very happy to see Yam. So he says, there he comes again. Then all joined in the laughter. Yam bowed low before him and took a seat. Here also he explains, later also Yam explains, that Yam had English education. Sort of English education makes you to observe certain English manners, you see. It automatically comes. That's why Sri Ramakrishna makes fun of those Bengalis who puts on tracksuits and puts on shoes, and then they walk, and they don't walk very humbly. They walk very fiercely, and there's tuck, 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 left and right, like that they walk. And Ramakrishna says that while walking, they are whistling also. That also he has noted, you see. So that happens. So the whistling also comes at that time. So when you have certain education in particular language, that language also brings certain customary types of qualities, those qualities come. So we find Yam had absorbed 3 qualities of the Western. What are the qualities? He stood first time when he came, he stood outside the master's room and the door was little open and he was knocking it. Because he had an English education, he himself says, because of English education, Yam could not open the door and go straight. In our country, we don't find like that, The office door also equipped with simply people enter. So we dash into, as we say, we dash into the room. We don't want to ask you whether you are right or not. So after my coming here, I am also following that. Because we have come to a Western country. So my next room is Purnananji's room. But I wait. So whether I should enter or not, or knock. So that is the problem. So when you are in this position, you have to follow this, that automatically comes. So Yam had also displayed that. But that lady who came out, she said, what? You just go inside, like that she says. That's the Indian way of going. Say, just go inside. And here also you see, Yam comes here and he says previously he used to do only folded hands, like Namaste. That much only he has come down. But he never touched the feet of a saintly person. He has never done that. So now he has learnt. So that is also he mentions how he has learnt that. Then he says, that example Master gave about him was that a man once fed a peacock with a pill of opium at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. That's all. The next day, exactly at that time, the peacock came back. It had felt the intoxication of the drug and returned just in time to have another dose. And that is what is the meaning of peacock, and who is the man who gave the drug? Here that man is Sri Ramakrishna and the peacock is Yam. And what is that intoxicating drug? The beautiful, the one charming words of Sri Ramakrishna on God. So that is what attracted Yam. And Yam is now intoxicated with the drug of the thoughts of God. So he has returned just in time to have another dose. That's very beautifully put in. And all laughed at that. And Yam thought this a very apt illustration. And he was very happy at the illustration. And he could understand that he is the peacock and he has come now. Now you see, and Yam sees that the contact of Master with his devotees, these young devotees, and how they all making merriment and fun. At that time, some 5-6 questions come on his mind. These questions came into Yam's mind is okay. They came and so he has put it on. But does it have any value for us? We are reading it after long many years, and these questions must also come in our mind. Perhaps for that, to encourage us to think of Sri Ramakrishna in these terms, Yam is raising those questions and he has put it. What are the questions he is asking within himself? Didn't I see him only yesterday, intoxicated with God? We have come up to this position of these pages. We have also seen, earlier when we are reading, we have seen Sri Ramakrishna intoxicated with God. That description we also saw. And Yam also had seen at that time. So Yam has put this question. We are also raising the question when we read Yam seeing Master having merriment with the boys. We are also reading that. When we read that, we also, for the very first time when we read, get this question in our mind. Hey, only a few pages back, we saw Ramakrishna absorbed in Samadhi. And now we see Sri Ramakrishna is playing with these boys. Did we not see a few pages before? In the same way, that thought comes in our mind also. And what other questions? Wasn't he swimming then in the ocean of divine love? A sight I had never seen before. Of course, Yam saw it on his own eyes, so he can say, for us, we have read only. The same ocean of divine ocean, Master was swimming, that one, about that we read it. Yes, we didn't see it. But mental eyes is something. We can see that. That's why you find, there's a question asked, if Valmiki wrote the Ramayana, and then later on, several Ramayanas appeared in several languages, like Kirtivas wrote in Bengali, and in Tamil, Kamban wrote, and Hindi, Tulsidas wrote. Like that, in different languages, different Ramayanas have come. So, is it possible that all these are keeping the main story of Ramayana? Along with that, there are several twists and turns in the stories. How these things can happen? So, in one place, Tulsidas gives answer to this. He says, when I wrote the Ramayana, it is not that what I read in other books and I remembered and then I wrote. No. I saw each and every incident of Ramayana happening before my eyes. Eyes are closed. Happening before my eyes. Happening before my closed eyes. Each incident is happening, and that's why I wrote. And that's why you find lots of difference in some of the incidents in Ramayana in different languages, because each of those rishis, they should be called rishi only. You may call them poet, but they wrote in poetic form. It's all right, but they were all rishis. They could imagine or they could visualize the Ramayana, and suddenly they see there's a difference between Valmiki's Ramayana and their Ramayana. Because they saw like that, so they wrote it like that. So when you read like that Ramakrishna's life also, later on, when such rishis come into this world, and when they see, after reading all these books, when they start meditating on Sri Ramakrishna, there may be many new things coming up. So we can see that how they see Sri Ramakrishna. And today, the same person is behaving like an ordinary man. Wasn't he he who scolded me on the first day of my coming here? Because Master Ramakrishna scolded him. He said, you think that you are the very knowledgeable man? Your wife is ignorant. When Yam answered that my wife is ignorant, for that he got a scolding. So he said, are you a man of knowledge? This is what he asked. Then, wasn't he who said to me, that God with form is as true as God without form? Didn't he tell me that God alone is real and all else illusory? Wasn't it he who advised me to live in the world unattached like a maidservant in a rich man's house? Now all these questions, when we read again as appeared in the mind of M, the gist of the gospel till now has been given to us. How beautifully M has got the method of feeding us. You see, we have come up to this portion of the first chapter, nearly close of the first chapter. But if anybody asks you, what did you learn from the gospel of Sri Ramakrishna? So far you have read. So what are those ideas? Those gist of those ideas M has brought out by raising these questions. So when you read these questions, you understand this is the gist of so far the portion that I have read. So this also helps us. Now, M sat in silence. Master said to Ramlal, you see, he is little advanced in years and therefore somewhat serious. That we talked already. He was then only 28 years old. Then the conversation drifted to Hanuman, whose picture hung on the wall in the master's room. We find in the master's room several pictures used to be hung. When Ma Kali's picture was there, then Hanuman's picture was there. Like that, Chaitanya's picture was there. All these pictures were hung. Every day evening, Sri Ramakrishna used to take a incense stick and burn it, and then takes it, Hey Govinda, Hey Krishna, Hey Madhava, Hey Yadava. Like that he used to turn the incense stick. That is very interesting. In all our houses, in the evening, our parents used to say, show the incense stick everywhere. That removes the bad vibrations that had come so long, Many people come into your home with the people who are anti-thoughts. They come into your home. And how do you remove those vibrations from your home? So you take the incense stick and take the name of the Lord along with that and then move on. How do you hold the incense sticks? Our rituals, tantric rituals have clearly mentioned, you cannot hold the incense stick like this. You cannot hold the incense stick like this. You have to take these two fingers, middle two fingers, keep the incense stick and press it with this thumb. So, and these two fingers, keep it out. They should not touch. So this is one type of mudra. So mudras are used in pujas, you see. That's why in ritualistic puja, we are very particular how you take the incense stick and then you move it 3 times like that. So this is the form that you hold the incense stick. So this is one type of mudra. That mudra says that mudra is to signify the vast expansion of yourself. So this mudra is used in our Nivedita also. When you offer to Lord, you use 5 types of pancha prana says, apana, vyana, udana, samana, like that. So this pancha pranas, every prana has got a particular mudra. So one of the mudras of the prana is that what I offer you, what you eat, that should go around all over your body. It gets digested and gets streamed into the blood and goes into all over your body. So for that mudra is used. So when you take incense stick, what happens? From incense stick, there is, when it is burning, there's a small flavor comes, fragrance comes, smoke comes, and that spreads everywhere. And that is called, there's a beautiful Sanskrit word is there. It is said that word is vasana. In vernacular languages, we use the word, the fragrance, translated as vasanai, vasana. In Tamil we say vasanai. So in South Indian languages also we use vasana. So vasana means fragrance. And vasana is been considered as the deep root of our next birth. In this birth, whatever we think, whatever we do, all these things are stored in one place. And that place is vasana. That's why Holy Mother used to say that Nirvashana na hole mukti noy. Is there any mukti? Or when do you get mukti? Nirvasana. That means without any vasana. The vasana is completely obliterated, completely wiped out. Then only you won't have any next birth. Even one vasana is there. You have to come back. It is said in the Shiva Purana, one beautiful incident is there of Nandi. No, Nandi is called Bhagavan Nandi, Nandikeshwara. He is called Nandikeshwara. And he was very close to Shiva. And Lord Shiva mounts on him. And he walks, Nandi takes him as his vehicle to Lord Shiva. And he was very close. Every day during Brahma Muhurt, Nandikeshwara used to come to Lord Shiva. And Lord Shiva is in deep meditation. And that mountain, he doesn't sleep, It is always meditation. And Nandikeshwara comes with flowers and does puja to Lord Shiva. And Lord Shiva accepts his puja. Because very, very highly, most purified soul, Nandi. That's why you could be nearer to Shiva, you see. Unless you are pure, you cannot be nearer to Lord. So Lord has kept him as his mount. And such a purified soul, that Nandi was there. And then one day, while doing puja, 2 apsaras came from Devaloka to Kailash. And they were walking around Lord Shiva, doing pradakshina. It's called pradakshina. You go around right side, clockwise. That pradakshina they were doing, but they had some ornaments on their feet. So that ornaments were making, in that absolute silence, some sound, jingling sound. And for part of a second, Nandikeshwara turned his eyes and his vision took their forms. And immediately he retracted his mind and he started doing puja. Suddenly, Lord Shiva woke up from his meditation. He said, "My dear Nandi, you are no more fit to do my puja sitting near." Nandi was stunned. He said, "Oh Lord, why are you telling me like this? Your mind has already desired. A desire has come. A vasana has come." Vasana. You see, the ladies have gone. But the vasana, thinking about them, you retained it. That is fragrance. What fragrance does? If you go to a nice fragrant place and you come out, your clothes are having the same fragrant smell. Is it not? So what does that mean? It attaches itself. So that's why it is called vasana. Any type of desire gets attached itself to the mind, that is vasana. And to remove that vasana, the stain of the fragrance, is very, very difficult. How many births it will take, you don't know. So Lord says to Nandi, you go back to earth, worship me, and come back. Nandi is shuddering. He says, "Oh Lord, if so long I am with you, there is no karmic effects on me. But the moment I go down to earth, whatever action I will do, there will be effect of that. So the phala will come, and the phala will bind me. If I am not very careful about doing karma yoga, the phala, the fruits of action, will bind me. And because of the bondage, I will have to take another birth. And I do not know how many more births I have to be there, and how many so long years I have to be away from you. I cannot." Then Lord Shiva blesses him. No, only one birth. In this one birth itself, those 2 girls will come to you. And then you will leave them on the same night of marriage. And then you sing my glory so long, your life is there, and you come back to me. And one of the 4 Shaivite saints was that Nandi, it is said. He was a young man. He has renounced the world, and he was walking through a village. And their village, all the villagers came, saw him, a handsome boy has come. They took him to a place, and there's the marriage is going to be held. And 2 girls are sitting, and the boy who was to be a groom, he just died a few minutes before by the bite of a serpent. And the muhurta is fast approaching. And the girls, if they are not married, it is a great, terrible thing for the father. So this young man was put in that place and he got married. On the same night, he leaves them and he goes away. So this is called this reincarnation. This next janma, this for all of our births. If you want to take more births, you have to increase your desires. If you don't want any more births, then slowly you have to cut off the desires. So you have to be, when are you going to become nirvasana? Nirvasana means completely vasana less. No vasana at all. That is how it goes on. And so there we said, why I brought this is that when we have the good thoughts from this gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, and how wonderful it is, we are helped in spiritual life by reading such books. So, a mere reading is not enough. That's why everyone has to reflect upon what one reads. And then only we can be able to proceed in the spiritual life as suitably and profitably. So we shall meet again next week. Om Niranjanam Nityam Anantarupam Bhaktanukampa Drita Vigraham Vai Ishavataram Parameshamidhyam Tam Ramakrishnam Shirasa Namamaha. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.